Everyone looks at the stage wins and thinks KTM is absolutely crushing it right now, but if you actually look at what happened in stages 5 and 6, you'll see a massive vulnerability in the orange wall. We just wrapped up the marathon stage. Zero mechanics, zero support, just riders and their machines against the rocks. And honestly, it turned into a graveyard for tires and mousses. While Luciano Benavides managed to snag a win, the combination of catastrophic mechanical failures and unforced mental errors piling up for KTM suggests the dynasty is shaking. It's not about speed anymore. It's about who can keep their bike in one piece. The Marathon Massacre, Stage 5, Tire Drama. Stage 5 was defined entirely by who survived, not just who was fast. The second half of this marathon stage absolutely destroyed rear wheels across the board, and it completely changed the complexion of the rally. The biggest victim here was Edgar Canet. This kid was having a breakout rookie year for KTM, looking like the future of the sport, and then he lost over 4 hours in a single afternoon. Why? Because his rear mousse didn't just fail, it completely disintegrated. He had to nurse the bike home in the dark, effectively ending his podium hopes. Let's talk about what actually happens here, because it's not just getting a flat. These bikes run BIB mousses, foam inserts instead of air tubes. They rely entirely on a special gel lube to minimize friction between the foam and the tire carcass. The moment you get a cut in the tire sidewall from a sharp rock, centrifugal force flings all that lube out. Without the lube, the friction generates insane heat. The mousse dries up, and it literally melts into a tiny, useless ring of black rubber. You're suddenly riding a 450 cubic centimeter rally bike on a loose metal rim through Saudi Arabian dunes. It's a nightmare scenario. Now, the counterpoint here is Luciano Benavides. He managed to win the stage for KTM, proving the bike has raw speed, but honestly, it felt like a roll of the dice. He admitted he had to manage the tire, and Daniel Sanders said his tire was cracking by the end. They were gambling on whether the rubber would hold together for just one more kilometer. It's a precarious way to lead a rally. Then you have the Honda factor. Ricky Brabec finished 5th on the stage, which sounds boring until you hear what he said afterward. He revealed his Michelin tires held up perfectly compared to the Metzlers that were melting on the KTMs and Heroes. Sometimes the boring choice wins rallies. While the KTM boys were sweating bullets, hoping their mousses wouldn't explode, Brabec was just cruising, knowing his equipment was solid. It's a massive psychological advantage when you trust your gear more than your competition trusts theirs. We also have to mention Ross Branch on the Hero. He suffered the exact same mousse meltdown as Canet, dropping him from podium contention all the way down to 10th. This equipment failure cleared the board, turning what was a multi-brand brawl into a much tighter, high-stakes duel between a fragile KTM squad and a very confident Honda team. The mental game, Stage 6, and the Honda Swarm. Just when KTM thought they had survived the equipment failures of the marathon stage, the mental errors started kicking in on Stage 6. This was a massive day, 900 kilometers riding into Riyadh with plenty of sand dunes. And physically, Daniel Sanders on the KTM was dominating. He was arguably the fastest rider out there, catching and passing his rivals on the ground. But then he threw away all that hard-earned advantage with a totally unforced mental error. A speeding penalty cost him 6 minutes, handing the stage win and all the momentum right back to Honda. This isn't happening in a vacuum. This is the result of the Honda Swarm. It's not just one guy chasing Sanders. Honda has Ricky Brabec, Adrian Van Beveren, and Tosha Shirena all hovering near the top. Even though Shirena had his own issues, the collective pressure of those red bikes is forcing the KTM riders to push beyond their comfort zones. And that's when you miss a speed zone marker or blow past a waypoint. There's also a fascinating clash of styles happening in the navigation department. Ricky Brabec is riding old school. He's trusting his CAP headings, basically just following the compass bearing and distance, rather than getting bogged down in the details. Meanwhile, the younger generation seems to be getting overloaded by the digital tablet notes. The new electronic roadbooks provide so much information that it's frying their brains after 400 kilometers. Brabec's ability to simplify the data and just ride the terrain is giving him a mental edge that the spec sheets don't show. Speaking of mental errors, we can't ignore the Tasha incident. Shirena got hit with a penalty for missing the start flags leaving the bivouac. It sounds ridiculous, like failing a driving test because you didn't put your seatbelt on, but it shows that the pressure is getting to everyone. The difference is that Honda has the depth to absorb these mistakes. If one rider slips up, another is right there to take the stage win. Looking at the current standings, Sanders still leads overall, but the gap is razor thin. We're talking under 2 minutes separating him from Brabec. That is nothing in Dakar terms. One flat tire, one missed waypoint, or one more speeding ticket, and the lead evaporates. Going into the rest day, Sanders might have the physical lead, but the psychological pressure of the Honda swarm is heavy. He knows he can't relax for a second while Brabec is sitting pretty, letting the race come to him, confident that his tires won't melt and his navigation strategy is working. Real-world reality, what this means for your wallet. Now, looking at these melted tires and exploded mousses makes you think about your own garage bills. It's easy to watch these factory guys and think you need the exact same setup for your weekend adventure ride. But Stage 5 was a perfect example of why Pro Spec is usually a terrible idea for the real world. Most of us don't run bib mousses on our adventure bikes, and for good reason. They are expensive, they have a shelf life shorter than a banana, and changing them requires the strength of a gorilla and the patience of a saint. You have to lube them constantly, and once that lube is gone, it's game over. It's high maintenance for a very specific gain that most of us will never actually use. The technical failure that destroyed Edgar Canet's race is the exact same reason you can't run a rally mousse on the highway. It's all about heat. When you're doing 70 miles per hour on tarmac to get to the trail, the friction inside that tire is immense. Without a cooling break, that foam insert heats up, dries out, and literally disintegrates. Watching factory teams burn through $150 inserts every single day is a stark reminder of why heavy-duty tubes or a good tubeless setup remain the undisputed kings for the average rider. Sure, they aren't factory, but they also don't turn into a pile of molten rubber just because you rode on the pavement for an hour. Imagine being 50 miles from civilization and realizing your expensive upgrade has just turned into a useless donut. That's the reality. There is a serious pro tax when you buy rally spec gear. You're often paying for performance that comes at the direct cost of durability. What wins a stage in Saudi Arabia might leave you stranded on a backcountry discovery route if you don't have a support truck following you with spares. Sometimes the boring, durable stuff is actually the high-performance choice for the real world. We get obsessed with weight savings and race performance, but reliability gets you home. Speaking of reliability and cost, we have to talk about Cove. While the big factory teams were melting tires and stressing over penalties, Niels Therick was quietly winning Rally 2 stages on the Cove 450. It's a massive statement. It proves that the cheaper Chinese production bikes are becoming genuinely competitive against the $30,000 factory machines. Seeing a budget-friendly bike hold its own while the giants struggle with reliability issues is a wake-up call for the industry. It shows that the gap between cheap and championship-capable is closing faster than anyone expected. If you're looking to get into rally without selling a kidney, the barrier to entry just got a lot lower, and that pressure might finally force the big brands to rethink their pricing. In conclusion, KTM still has the raw speed with Sanders and Benavides, but Honda has the consistency and the numbers game working in their favor. The stakes couldn't be higher going into week 2. One more melted mousse or a single speeding ticket will hand this entire rally to Ricky Brabec on a silver platter. Drop a comment if you think the Michelin tires are the reason Honda is going to win this year, and subscribe for the Week 2 breakdown.